Hey, welcome to Gong Jiao Wei, episode 9.
Hey, so we did Animal Farm, then we did Batman. Got any more movies or not?
Sex Man.
Sex Man.
X-Men.
Oh,
X-Men.
X-Men.
I just saw X-Men Apocalypse. And by the
okay.
end of it, I remembered reading somewhere X-Men was actually not code, but at first it was meant to represent the immigrant people, the immigrants coming into the US.
Okay.
So they're the ones hated.
Oh, I think I
the
saw
outside
something.
group.
Yeah.
So when after the whole thing is done, it became further down in the future already. Then it became homosexuality thing.
Okay.
Like how there's a
To-
spectrum of different powers, and how people are distinctively different.
Right, and labeled as a
Yeah,
certain.
and it kind of reflects homosexuality.
Okay.
Or not really even homosexuality, but just human sexuality in general.
Right.
Yeah, and
So it's the
in-
straight versus the others lah. The LGBTQ lah. The
I wouldn't even
LGBTQ
say
is the
straight.
mutants.
I wouldn't even say straight,
Okay.
because straight is still part of like
The spectrum.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
but then
technically.
in X-Men it's distinctively mutants and non-mutants. So I'm guessing people with varying points of view about what sexuality is,
Okay.
whether it is binary or whether it exists on a spectrum.
Okay.
So talking about the spectrum thing,
Okay.
I think before we even start, I guess we should define how to define sexuality.
Okay.
Like I was saying, some people think it's binary, whether you gay or not gay.
Right.
You guy, so you are male, so you have a specific set of gender roles. Yeah, and people kind of tie gender roles and sexuality together. So it's just this whole mess of different labels, different categories people put other people in just to make sense of
The whole thing, right? Yeah.
So how would you define?
So when I was doing some research, I can't remember the psychologist's name, but when I was doing research on like sexuality, there was a pretty famous sexologist who talked about sexuality being a spectrum, right? And how you virtually can't have, or it's a very low number in the population where people are 100% straight.
Right.
It's kind of like a bell curve, right? If you're like 100% straight, then you're at the extreme end where it's a very low
Like, how
number
is that?
of
There's deviancy in another sense, right?
yeah.
Like
I mean,
100% straight. Like does that mean you're like a sex fiend? If you're on the very male side of the spectrum,
100% straight.
yeah. Do you just fuck anything that moves?
No, like 100% straight would mean that you only fuck females, right? That you are only, or at least that's what I understand it to be, right? That you are only 100% interested in women, right? In the slightest hint of masculine characteristic from a female will probably put you
You're like,
off already. Yeah. Right? Zero way that you're going to feel any.
when we're talking about this issue, I don't think it's easy to kind of just mix and match or
Right.
pick out specific things to talk about.
Right.
It's all kind of connected.
Yeah.
That's why it's kind of muddled, and therefore the whole spectrum thing. It might not. If spectrum is not your cup of tea, for metaphor, maybe it's a cloud. It's like a 3D representation of where you are in the population of the human race.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we can both agree it's on the spectrum.
Yeah. I definitely
Hence-
feel it's on
hence,
a spectrum.
Hence the different colors of the
Yeah, the
rainbow on
rainbow.
the flag.
Yeah.
Which, okay, if you're talking about that strictly, then the flag shouldn't be bars of colors. it should be a fucking gradient,
Right,
right?
yeah. I feel that also.
Like we
Right.
need to have a gradient flag
Yeah,
instead
that's
of
why.
the
Instead of
classic
specific
bands of
seven
colors.
color
Yeah,
band, yeah. Yeah.
well, no, more than seven, because you got the trans flag, which is like pink,
Oh, okay.
baby blue,
Okay.
and white, and
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, I did not know about the trans
yeah.
flag.
There's like a lot of different flags
Okay.
out there.
Interesting. Yeah, but yeah, it's such a complicated spectrum. And yeah, if we don't talk about it or we don't, discuss it, then how the fuck are we supposed to understand it? And yeah, it's pretty worrying when it comes to that,
Comes to what?
to the way Singapore handles sexuality at an early
Mm,
age. I
mm,
feel,
mm,
education wise, right? Most schools don't want to tread on this subject, and if you come from a heavy religious school,
mm.
all the more reason they're not going to talk about it, right? So your
They would
Christian
rather talk
schools and all
about
that.
the priest and the altar boy, right? What
Yeah,
goes on behind the scenes?
exactly, right? Why the fuck are we yeah, excluding something really important?
That's like even worse.
Yeah, that's 10 times worse. That one's a whole other episode on how the vow of celibacy can fuck you up, like in many many different ways. Why, the rates of priests molesting young boys and girls is so damn
Yeah,
high.
yeah,
Why that whole article about how priests keep nuns as sex slaves,
right.
right? You see that?
Yeah,
Yeah, why that happens? Because humans aren't meant to exist like that. We're not meant to be celibate,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Essentially,
you have even monks who like are not sexually active at
yeah,
all.
yeah,
In the end, when they get older, they start having problems with the prostate.
yeah.
Fucking
That's why,
yeah,
right? So I think unless you're really in that mindset where you can, completely just become celibate,
right. Or
right?
your body just fuck.
Yeah,
Like the brain center
yeah,
where it controls your sexual urges is just
yeah. So for that we have like asexual individuals,
right.
right? Individuals that don't feel any sexual attraction to anything,
Right.
you
So
know.
what's the color of
Asexual,
asexual?
just black. I don't know, just darkness. I don't know. And maybe it's the black and the white lah. Then the white is the pansexual. No, I don't know. Right.
Mm,
So pansexuals are people that will have sexual attraction to anything.
right.
Right. I don't know whether objects included or not lah,
Right.
but
Pedophiles got color.
I hope not.
They got character. They got the bear.
Yeah,
Brown.
yeah, brown. They got the brown bear for them.
Brown.
Pedo bear.
By the way, how does my voice sound?
Uh,
This is my voice. This is Gison's real voice in high fidelity.
right, yeah, we're finally recording this together.
Yes,
This is the first episode that we actually sit down
we
together.
can touch.
Yeah, we
each
can
other.
touch each other like what we're doing
No.
now. But yeah, it's the first time we're actually doing this like together face to face. So much better, right? Compared to that distance.
The Zoom.
Yeah, that Zoom.
The Zoom calls.
The Zoom calls, the lags. Apologies for our previous episode if you can hear the.
I'm sounding like this, and they cannot really hear me.
Exactly. Yeah. We digress back to sexuality. So we were talking about problems with sexuality, right? And how education systems. I feel the Singapore education system
Right.
needs to evolve, grow
How
up
is it now?
when it comes
Like,
to this.
I mean, you're more in touch with it.
Yeah, so before recording this episode, so I went to talk to a few of my students, ask them how their schools approach this topic
Right,
of
right.
LGBTQ and stuff like that.
Or even just sexuality
Yeah.
in general.
Avoid.
Avoid.
They
Like,
just don't talk about it.
okay, What about when we were, was it upper primary or our lower sec? They
Oh, in lower
talk
sec, is
about,
it?
they talk
Okay,
to us like
so I mean, there's mandatory sexual education,
Yeah.
but that one sticks to the that nuclear family unit
okay,
thing.
not don't masturbate. If not, your hands will get hairy.
Okay,
or
that-
you get fuzzy.
That one
vision.
different story. So the sexuality education I had was different from your, right? Because we came from Hai Sing Catholic, and obviously a Catholic school.
Right.
And at that point of time in my life, I was a Catholic. And so while y'all were having the regular
Oh,
heathen
oh, right, right,
version
right, right. You were
of,
there.
yeah,
Wow.
of sexual, education, I was inside the room.
Getting molested by kids.
No, thankfully not. Otherwise, GG. But yeah, no, they were educating us differently about the principles of religion and things like that.
Okay, how
And
did it go? Let's
it,
have the full rundown.
it was horrifying, right? They would tell you things like masturbation is a sin, right? Don't ever masturbate, don't play with yourself, things like that. Obviously, being gay is wrong, right? In their eyes,
Right.
it's against God, it's against the principles behind religion. So, as a kid growing up, right? That's bloody confusing to listen to
Yeah.
when your hormones are raging and you're trying to figure out yourself. And yeah, I think that went into damaging me to some extent, right?
Right.
To not be able to understand sexuality as well as
Mm,
compared to when I'm older lah,
right.
right? So
Explains your slight sexual deviancy.
yeah, possibly, right?
Hey, but aren't we all
And
deviants?
yeah, we're all
To a
deviants.
certain extent.
Yeah, exactly, man. Right. So, I mean, definitely, judging from my experiences and everything, I'm definitely not 100% straight. Right. So there's some
A little bit
level of
bent.
yeah, a little bit, right? So there's some level of others in me. And thing is, like, at that point of time when I'm going through that level of education and they're telling me that this is wrong, that is wrong, it's bloody confusing, and it makes you feel guilty. The worst part is, right, religion makes you feel guilty because it's like, oh shit, God doesn't love me if I am that way. And God is like the ultimate thing. So this
Right, right,
ultimate
right.
being that everyone looks up to, that everyone wants to appease, now hates you for
Right.
some innate reason, right?
Yeah,
No,
must be fucking confusing. Because
yeah,
when
that's
you're
right.
young, you're like, God loves everyone.
Right.
God loves all his creation.
Yeah, and then
And then,
suddenly,
yeah.
except for gay people, except for this group, except for that group,
Yeah.
except for this, yeah.
And then you're like, huh?
Huh?
It doesn't make fucking sense.
Exactly. Like
Uh,
what?
yeah. Yes.
So it's fucking confusing,
Right,
which
right.
is why I kind of those are my two biggest like pet peeves. Religion, education. I think yeah, they're really
Pet peeves how? Like the way it's being
the way it's
taught.
bring okay, once you're older, I don't really give a shit, right? Because you're old enough, you're an adult, you can figure things out for yourself, whether you want to believe in all that stuff still. Okay, that's me being a little selfish
Right, right,
also, because
right.
I have the luxury of abandoning my own religion and not
Mm,
believing in Catholicism anymore.
right.
But then how about the people that can't? The people whose families are staunchly religious, or where you come from a very strict
Right.
faith like Islam, where in certain countries apostasy equals death, right? If you abandon the religion, so
Mm,
how the fuck are you supposed to get out of a religion like that,
right.
right? And
Wouldn't he? Would they even have the thought of abandoning it? Though?
probably not. It's
So
so
it's like
ingrained that
the bliss of being ignorant.
yeah, in a way lah, if you grew up
Yeah,
without
yeah, yeah.
heavy
And in
religious
this case, like
indoctrination.
ignorance, not even like the negative. I
Yeah.
can't even put a negative spin to it. It's just you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know better.
Like hidden,
Yeah,
like there's a hidden self and whatever.
right. So yeah, to me, okay, so that's adult wise, right? But then kids, kids are just trying to understand the
Right.
world. They haven't figured out much of anything yet. And then
Especially a little bit older, you kind of your hormones start kicking in, like you were
yeah,
saying
right,
earlier.
the 12, 13 years old,
And
puberty sets
like
in.
laggy confusing.
Yeah, exactly, man. So like, thankfully I'm not gay, right? So I
Right,
had attraction towards females and all that, and so it worked out lah, right? It's still okay, I could still adapt,
right.
and it was still reasonable. But yeah, imagine somebody growing up completely gay, they only like men. How does that feel, man, when you tell them that God doesn't love you, or you have to change pray away the gay. What the like?
They were probably molested when they were younger.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the common stupid misconception that a lot of people come up with. Oh, you gay? Ah? When were you molested?
When
What?
like confirm kena molested. That's why.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why gay, right? That's the dumbest and most infuriating thing I've heard. But yeah, people believe stupid shit like that. You know that if you're gay means you, or if you're on the spectrum somehow, that means you would have to have been molested or had some kind of traumatic sexual experience, which
Your
is
parents drop you on the floor.
yeah, on your head or something like that. Or they're perverts. I've heard people say that also, like for people who are transgender,
Right.
right? And then they're just like, oh no, these people are perverted. That's why they're like that. How do you dismiss off, somebody's sexuality or gender for
Right.
that matter, just like that, right? Although it gets a little bit confusing when you throw in gender, lah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So gender and sexuality, it's
Connected but quite
yeah,
different.
that's why, right? So same but different, right? Often the people that do have gender issues and all that, they are suffering from this psychological condition called gender dysphoria. And I mean, they can get help for it, or they can, like Caitlyn Jenner and all that have come out and said, they channel that gender dysphoria into their successes and
Right.
all that, which is why he became a gold
No, not because of the
medalist.
Kardashians, man.
Yeah, I still feel my way about how the Kardashians screwed him up in his head.
They caused. They are the cause.
They-
They are the leading cause of transgenderism.
I definitely go insane if I lived with the Kardashians. No, thank you. Yeah, so gender, sexuality, a bit confusing, lah. Right. Um. So yeah, those are some like common misconceptions. Are you perverted? That's why you're like that. Have you been molested? That's why you're like that.
Right.
Quite ridiculous, lah. Sometimes. There are even more misconceptions about LGBTQ in Singapore, right? Like, is it a sickness? Is it a disease that can be
Right.
cured? So I think that one like kind of ties in with religion also. Have you heard of conversion therapy?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that shit's a fucking nightmare.
They do some Clockwork Orange style
Yeah,
shit and
man.
like tie
Holy
the
fuck.
person down and
Just hold open their eyes and
drip
yeah.
some eye drops in there, laced with I don't know what, trying to change their mind.
You know what's the worst part or not? I was like watching this Netflix series on uh, it's like short horror stories told by people and then they do reenactments of it. I can't remember the title of the
Crime Watch.
yeah, I mean it's kind of like Crime Watch, but the ghost version. And there was one particular episode on this guy. It's not really ghost, but it's horrifying. This guy was in a cult. He grew
Okay.
up in a cult,
Right.
and he was gay lah. And
Mm.
his parents, like when they found
Is
out,
it a gay cult?
no, it's
Or
not.
like he happens to be gay, but and then he's in a cult.
Yeah,
So not
he's in a cult, right? Then they find out he's gay, and in this cult, they are heavily against that.
okay, okay.
And so they have their own version of conversion therapy, and it's like
Oh.
fucking Clockwork Orange, man. Like they would zap him with electricity, they would flash pictures of gay porn and stuff like that, then they would zap him when he gets aroused.
Right. Like negative reinforcement.
Yeah, like Pavlov's dog,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah. They were trying to do that shit to a fucking 14-year-old kid,
Uh,
and they were just abusing, torturing him. And then I don't know what fuck logic this is, but he was raped there also.
what?
What, right? The people doing the conversion therapy raped him also. And then I'm like, so these are just more people who have been gay probably their whole life, went through the cult, and then this is their means of acting out their their sexual urges or fantasy, and it's
Is this even sexual at this point?
yeah, I have no
It
idea, man.
sounds like prison rape to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, it virtually is, man. They're kept in cages. Like these guys, these kids were kept in cages.
Right.
It's torture. They were literally fucking tortured. Right. So fucking nightmare, man.
Right.
Yeah, it's yeah, horrifying, man. So
So
like,
they reenact
I mean, they
the
show you the like the place that they were kept in,
right,
the cages and stuff like that, the torture
but not
methods,
acting
but
out
yeah, like they
the
never actually act out the torture or anything like that, lah. But yeah, you can hear the poor individual talking about the story and how it fucked over his life. And I mean, thankfully now he's like, when he was telling that story, he looked like he was in his late 40s. I think he
right.
was in like a loving relationship with his husband.
Fuck, I can only imagine like the mountain he had to climb to get out of
Yeah, that kind of fucked up level of
that
therapy,
trauma.
man.
Yeah.
That's why Singapore also have no conversion therapy. I mean, not this kind of sadistic fucking nightmare lah,
Okay.
but
How is
they do have it in churches and stuff like that, where yeah lah, they just tell you gay is wrong, pray away the gay.
it? Pray away the gay.
Yep.
That is a nice ring to it. Even though I don't agree with it, but what?
They came out with something catchy.
Yeah, and this is marketing done
Marketing done right.
right.
Yeah. Good job. Well, I mean, if you look at religion, they've always been pretty good at marketing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, okay, what would Jesus do? That's like a
right?
fucking good
Yeah.
catchline, man.
Right. Yeah.
Catchphrase.
Yeah.
What else?
Amen. That's it. But yeah, that's conversion therapy and religion for you. So no, being gay or being any other lesbian, bisexual, whatever is not a fucking sickness. It is not
Right.
curable. You cannot become straight. It's yeah, it's just
You know,
not
when you
happening.
were describing how they were torturing the guy, it reminded me of a scene in Deadpool where what's that pyro, the fat kid.
Oh, okay, okay, right.
Wasn't he zapped? He was tied on to a fucking bed and he was like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tortured
They tortured
by
him
the
also, right?
headmaster.
Yeah. Yeah, this shit only begets more violence, more disturbances than
Right,
anything
right,
else,
right.
man. And not to mention depression and anxiety. The suicide rates in conversion therapy is disgustingly high,
I
right?
mean,
The amount,
no surprise
yeah,
there.
right. I mean, if you're forced to, believe that you are fucked up and that God doesn't love you and all that, that shit does damage to you, man.
It just removes completely your self worth.
Yeah,
Your yeah, it doesn't even need to be that extreme as like physical torture. Like every day, you just hurl insults at a person.
yeah, they're going to become depressed, have issues with anxiety.
Yeah,
So clearly this doesn't work, and they definitely need to stop it and do something better. I'm thankful that some religious entities, they have moved towards being more accepting. Even the Pope came out and talked about how he accepts the LGBTQ community. So in
he was the
terms
one
of,
that came out and said nuns were
yeah, the
kept
nuns
as
were
sex
kept as
slaves.
sex slaves. So yeah, thank you, Pope
That
Francis.
like
This
you
dude,
have no other more legitimate source of this information.
yeah, from the Pope
Yeah, it came from a
himself.
fucking pope, man.
Yeah, exactly. Better respect that. So yeah, at least some religions are moving away from that. There are some Christian communities that are also accepting the modern day
Right.
Christians. Right? They in church they preach that God really loves everyone and everyone is accepted. Yeah, and I guess it's the real old school hard
Do
knocks
they put
that
fire
they
on them?
fire on them. The one who are Benny Hill, is it?
Oh, I
Is
don't
it
even
Benny
know.
Hill? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, no, no. If you're LGBTQ, you're not gonna burn in hell or anything like that. Okay, God loves everybody.
Right.
And the logic is there, man. If God created everything, then he fucking created gay people as well and
Right.
LGBTQ people,
He also created all the fucked up
Yeah, all the fucked upness.
sexual deviant,
Yeah, and all that.
uh,
BDSM, all that. Right.
yeah,
Yeah, is all God's.
perverted priest as well.
Or maybe they will argue that the devil got into them.
Eh, maybe
Yeah,
to what I don't know.
I think that's why I appreciate Wicca more than Christianity, because Wicca
Mm,
doesn't differentiate between the God and the devil. Wicca is like it's all one. If
right.
you're good, you're good. It's like karma. If you walk the path of darkness, then
Mm,
darkness will come to you. If you walk
Sounds
the
like
path of light, then light will come to you.
sounds like some law of attraction shit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I appreciate that more than saying that it's a very easy cop out lah. When something appears bad or evil or as the devil's work.
Only a Sith deals with absolutes.
Exactly, right. But yeah, I think that one
Right.
will be a podcast for another time when we
Right,
go
right.
heavy into religion. Also, we might end up in prison.
And
So
Star Wars.
yeah, and Star
Maybe
Wars.
start with Star Wars
Jediism.
first. Yeah.
We need to get into that.
Maybe we use Star Wars as a device.
To look at religion. Yeah, yeah. Sounds like an idea. After all, Jediism is the Church of Jediism is
Yes.
real.
You play with each other's lightsaber. Ah! So okay, since we are talking about it, we're putting this up on air. I want to just ask this question: is there enough coverage or media exposure on this subject about this subject?
About
Are
LGBTQ,
people talking about
it enough.
this wonderful spectrum enough?
I don't think so. I mean, well, we wait for Pink Dot always, then only Pride Month, and then only
And pink
we,
is just one color.
yeah.
Like, what about the other colors?
What about the other colors? And okay lah, I guess it's important, that we have things like Pride Month and all that.
Yeah,
But so maybe the education should come in then,
right.
if they want to. Okay, because another thing I feel that sometimes sexuality and gender and all that, people take it a bit too far. Also, they let this thing define their entire self.
Right.
And so it's now I am so and I'm gay. I'm so and I'm lesbian.
Right.
Right? But why? Right? Do you really have to identify yourself as your sexuality or your gender?
Right.
Is that
It
is
reminds me of the sketch Key and Peele, where there was this one damn outright gay, very fabulous,
Oh,
and he
shit,
was
I
just
don't
trying to portray the image of being a gay. Then you have Jordan Peele, who's like gay, but then like super low key, like just
okay, just
behaving
not
normally.
right. Yeah,
And
you
he's
see,
like, what the fuck
what the
is this
fuck
guy
is up
doing?
with this guy, right? Yeah, so you see, some people take it a bit too far, and then they center their entire identity around it. So I don't think that's too healthy, also. But to each his own, I guess. It's yeah lah, it's important lah. So
They're proud.
yeah, be proud. Yeah, after all, it is Pride Month. Pink Dot in 3 days' time, I believe. I think it's a reasonable coverage, but there's too much sweeping under the rug when it comes to, like I said, religion, education. Too many schools sweep it under the rug. Too many kids are dealing with this issue and they have no way of understanding it. This is not something that's easy to talk to your parents about, especially if your parents are hardcore religious or super homophobic. They send really, really messed up messages. I have gay friends who tell me, my mom will always say, like, I remember one of my friends, he mentioned Adam Lambert, right?
Right.
Brilliant singer, right? So the mom always, watch stuff like that with him, and then after that, she will like, wow, this guy is such a good singer, huh? But he's gay. But he's gay. You see? So then my friend's gay. Mom doesn't know lah. But then it
Yet doesn't know yet.
I think she knows already now. Now she knows lah. But when he was younger, during Adam Lambert's time,
Right.
American Idol, that period lah. Right. So it's really hurtful to hear that coming from a parent.
Yeah.
And then
It's like, fuck, I gotta hide it even more.
Yeah,
Like the closet,
see?
the skeleton's not coming out of the
That's
closet
why,
at all.
right? I definitely cannot tell her this now. And then I have students also who are on the spectrum who on the spectrum sounds like they have autism. I mean, they are on the LGBTQ spectrum, right? And yeah, they some of them confident enough to come out to their parents, and then bam, whiplash. Parents are religious. They're like, no, I think you're just
I have no
confused.
start.
Luckily, I haven't met any that have. I mean, I know of a student of mine whose close friend is facing that right now. Like the dad just outright want to disown, kind of, because she's lesbian. So fucked up shit like that. Like If the parents and the family unit is non-supportive, then where are they going to get the help
Uh,
from? And
that's
no
like your
help from school.
closest, strongest social support system.
Yeah, the next best thing is your school and your teachers, and then if that's out the window, then what? Where do you go from there?
Kill yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's what happens.
that's what happens, right? That's when depression sets in, anxiety sets in, and you have like, it seems like killing yourself or just ending this existence seems the most logical thing to do, which is horrifying, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for us the situation here to kind of have advanced or we can acknowledge it's advancing is kind of acknowledging its history. If can you imagine if in Singapore textbooks, history textbooks,
Right.
they talk about Pride history
Mm,
and like how people who kind of started this movement, they kind of got it up and going,
going. Right.
and the different changes they've pushed for and changed certain laws regarding people with different takes on sexuality.
Are you talking about 377A
No.
laws like that?
No, but not specifically the law, but just bring to the general consciousness, like
Mm,
there are people like that and they are pushing for their rights.
yeah.
They are trying to make a change. Yeah, that's when people know about it and then kind of gain acceptance, and they are able to track how long this movement has been, and with that it comes to a realization, like it's not an illness,
Mm.
it's part of the human condition.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I really hope that someday it comes to that. Yeah.
that'd be fucking amazing, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about the law?
Yeah.
5770.
You see, if like,
Is it the no blowjob?
no, it's not no blowjob, no anal sex,
No,
no sexual, no sex between two males.
no sex between.
Yeah,
Specifically males.
yeah, that's what the law puts it there.
Yeah, I
right?
remember reading about it. Yeah.
No bum bum fun.
No bum bum fun.
Yeah, no dick in the butt. All right, essentially that's what it is.
But can dig in some other orifice.
Actually, I think
Orifice,
oral sex is illegal, right, in Singapore.
yes.
Technically, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is also. Unless it is used as a precursor to actual sexual intercourse. What the fuck, man? Who comes up with this shit?
But I wonder how it covers. Uh,
You see, now this is the thing. Like, if the country's laws don't change, if we keep throwing out that line that Singapore is a conservative society, so we must appease the majority who are conservative. At this point, I really don't think the majority are the conservative anymore. It's a small group of motherfuckers who still want to be homophobic and who are just so obsessed about
or who
also
don't want to give blowjob. All the-
just if they change the law, then I have to give blowjobs. No. Okay, but yeah, I think it's a I think but like giving in to these individuals at the sake of depression and anxiety for another individual is like, what the fuck, right? Like, why are we even caring about the people who are conservative? Why does somebody
there are people
else's
who
yeah, okay, there are people
conservatives
too.
are people too.
Sure. But why does a person's like sexuality or the way a person perceives love and happiness affect yours? Why can't you do your own shit and do your own thing? Be straight, be whatever, and then mind your own business. If somebody wants to be gay or whatever,
The issue I have with this was why is it even written in law, like in the first place?
right? Like, why does 377A still
How is it
exist?
even enforceable?
Yeah,
Unless it's like a public act. Then
exactly.
you're like, okay, that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah. Okay, that one public exposure indecency. Yeah,
Yeah, that
sure.
one is like, okay,
That one's
you
fucked
go
up.
to jail.
Yeah, that one we can all agree. Straight to jail.
Yeah, straight to jail. Have sex in public? Yeah, straight to jail.
Yeah. But yeah, the fact that it's still a law, and then they will say things like, but we don't, impose this law. we don't practice it.
Then you say for what?
That's why, right? What the fuck is the point of putting it there then? So dumb, man. So yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And if you're not gonna enforce something, why put it there? Putting it there sends a message, right? Putting it there makes people, or makes conservatives validate their argument even more. Oh, you find out your kid is gay, then you're like, do you know that it's against the law to be gay?
Right.
Right?
But
And then,
I mean, if
like,
in the heat of the moment, I'm not gonna think about that.
about
If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna fucking do it.
right?
If I'm gonna,
Yeah.
get down and dirty, it's like, but the law says
Yeah, no,
cannot.
my dick says otherwise, man. Shut up. So yeah, it's ridiculous, lah. I feel that the law still exists, and that it's there. It says a lot about the way we want to, approach these matters, or how we are going to approach these matters. And yeah, it's really annoying that somebody else's happiness and belonging and love and relationships is it makes you uncomfortable to the point where you have to do something about it. Why? Like,
That just makes you fucked up, man.
yeah,
Like, you cannot stand other people being happy, then you gotta fuck up their happiness.
exactly. That to me is that salty as fuck.
Yeah,
Salty as fuck, man. Yeah, I think that's the main issue I have with the law. And you know what? I have another theory,
Why?
right? That they are also not 100% straight. That if this thing comes to light, that if LGBTQ is pushed far enough, they themselves start questioning their own sexuality. And because their entire life they have never done that, it scares them so much that they just cannot deal with this shit at that age, where you think that you are like that you are 100% straight, that you are.
Okay, so then now it comes to a very philosophical thing. Not philosophical, but like confusing maybe. If you doubt your own sexuality, then does it mean you are what you fear?
It could be. I mean, so this is where a lot
Because
of
there's a
research.
doubt already. What
Yeah.
you like? Okay, you are doubtful of yourself, hence the fear. And where does the fear come from? It's because
You feel that way.
you feel that way.
Yeah.
Is that not?
Exactly.
Is there another way of thinking about this?
I don't
Like-
think. I really think this is the case. I mean, look at homophobia, right? And how often the politicians and the people in power who are extremely homophobic, right? Few months later, few years later, you hear about some scandal.
Yeah.
Oh, sex with another
Yeah.
man, right? Even though that guy's completely against gays.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take this whatever I said just now. When you are doubtful of
Your own
yourself,
sexuality.
it means there's an
That's-
inkling of something
Else.
else, of you being gay or whatever.
Right.
Now we reverse the argument. You are really against this group, this homo group, this others, but you're very sure you are not.
Okay.
Will you fear?
Would you fear?
Will you
that
fear
other
the
group?
others?
I think if
Because
you're
you're so sure of yourself, you know where you stand. Then what is there to fear? You know what I'm saying?
so to me, that's where the self delusion comes in, right? How much have you deluded yourself into thinking that you are 100% straight? How much have you convinced yourself that I am definitely straight, right? Because if you are confident about your sexuality, all straight and all that, then how does gay people affect you?
Yeah, they're not gonna make you gay.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a contagious disease, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna be bombarded by rainbow blasts, and then after that you suddenly become LGBTQ, right? So you see, it comes back to that. I feel there's something there, that they are not addressing, that they've deluded themselves into believing.
So I think to make this issue more mainstream, there should be more homosexual couples in MediaCorp productions.
Okay, that's a start, I guess. Right?
So far, has there ever been?
I don't know, man. I don't watch any media
Right.
stuff. So.
I
but
don't either. But
yeah,
no, maybe times have changed, and then
there's representation
maybe we
now,
should turn on.
and see, right, if
Right.
there's representation. Yeah, I really don't know.
Yeah.
Is there?
There were definitely characters who are more flamboyant and more tomboyish, but they
Right.
never really go into
What
what
sexuality they
sexuality
are?
they are.
Right. Yeah.
And even then, it's just one part of the equation. You
Mm,
can be super masculine looking, like workout and everything, and totally away from the very
right.
feminine
Yeah, that's
male.
yeah, the effeminate male, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's another like confusing thing, or another misconception, that people think that, oh, if you're gay, that means you want to be a girl. Like, yeah, no,
Mm.
that's definitely not the case. So yeah, I think there are quite a number of misconceptions out there when it comes to this. Or if you're gay, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're effeminate, or yeah, if you go to the gym and look good and stuff like that, it's not because you're gay. There are lots
Yeah.
of,
Hence the it's not a binary thing.
yeah, exactly.
It's
It's a spectrum. um I think another interesting thing, or at least I don't know where I got this from, but I think it was some kind of debate, or something that I was watching online. But I remember this because it was a very effective way of looking at LGBTQ people versus straight people, right? So there's this common misconception where straight people will ask, LGBTQ people, when do you decide to be gay? Or when do you decide to be that way? And it's not a decision you make. And if you flip that question around and ask the straight person, when do you decide to become straight? Right? They won't be able to answer that question. You don't decide shit, man. You just one day wake up, right? And then you're just aroused or sexually attracted to whatever you're sexually attracted to. And then that's kind of how you know whether or not you're straight, gay, or whatever, right? So, yeah, just common misconception, man. Don't ask stupid questions.
maybe the molestation argument is true. They got molested in the womb for some reason before they even are conscious of what they are.
Yeah, I'm sure. Spirit, it was a spiritual molestation.
Spiritual.
I think the last thing we should talk about is how to help this whole situation,
Yes.
right?
Have
So
you found religion yet?
yeah, praying away the gay
Break.
does not work. Conversion therapy does not work.
Maybe there's a pill you can.
A pill to cure the gay does not exist.
The red pill.
Does Okay, matrix pill maybe, that one all
That
yours.
one not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
sexuality
Yeah,
already.
GG, everything stripped away. Your whole whatever you know to exist to be true is gone. Okay, that one different podcast also. Another
But
topic.
yeah, how would you help? I mean, okay, especially let's target people who are more in their formative years.
Yeah, okay. So for younger people listening to this, it'd be awesome if you can get love, support, empathy from your and acceptance from your parents. But I get that that's going to be really difficult. So you always have friends out there. You do have counselors in schools, right? If you come from a staunchly religious school, maybe not such a good idea to speak to the teachers or the counselors there, because I think I don't know whether they are going to be accepting of this or even address the issue. I guess you really have your friends to rely on there.
I'm optimistic. Times have probably changed, and there are counselors in religious schools who are
Who are not like that, is it?
yeah who are more educated
Mm.
in
Sexuality.
sexuality and psychology,
Right.
because that's like kind of the prerequisite to become
Mm.
a counselor. I hope
Actually,
that's the gating. But like, let's say like a module,
okay, right, on
talking about
sexuality.
that, so
Okay.
that you know.
Yeah, I hope so as well. right? But I guess the internet, right? You have your support groups there, your Reddit, your communities online, your Discord servers, and yeah, if you really, it's to the point where you need help, therapy is always an option, right? And for the older people and the adults listening to us, be supportive, right? I i feel that, as if you're a parent, you most likely wouldn't want your kid to be LGBTQ, not because being LGBTQ is wrong or anything,
The
but because,
societal,
yeah, the societal implications and the shit your kid is going to have to deal with, is just going to be so damn tough, so
yeah, I've
it's
had a friend who was kind of bullied at work and kind of eventually let go because they found
because,
out she was lesbian. She is lesbian.
oh, damn.
Yeah. And it's not even like very overt, like, hey, you lesbian, like you're fired. But kind of the very subtle, like,
Right, right.
not,
Eats away at it, right?
yeah, like
Yeah.
not assigning you certain shifts and like removing certain privileges and making the workplace very toxic for you, such that,
You
you kind
are
of,
kind of wanting to leave
yeah,
also.
yeah.
See, yeah, that's fucked up.
Which is the most fucked up because it's not like outright, like,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least you tell me where your viewpoints are, what side of the which camp you fall into, then okay, fine. I guess we'll never reconcile. But it's like making the workplace toxic and the interactions between the two parties
Mm,
become super fucked
right,
up.
right.
Like it's not even proper way of handling a human relationship
Yeah.
anymore.
But I think that's how, fucked up companies will work, because they can't outright fire you because of your sexuality
Yeah.
also. I'm pretty sure there are laws against that. So companies gonna get into trouble. So instead they do this kind of, backward shit. Yeah, it's unfortunate, so yeah, I mean, nobody really wants to, or in that sense, you're, as a parent, you're probably going to face a lot of difficulty, or your kid is going to face a lot of difficulty, because society is just beginning to move and evolve into being more accepting. So but if your kid is, you can always, I mean, love, support, acceptance, kindness goes a long way. They just want to be loved, right? They just want
Not
acceptance.
even just from a sexuality thing.
Yeah, it's just belonging,
Yeah.
relationships, emotional.
Exam grades not good.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
into
yeah,
trouble at the playground,
yeah,
stealing
yeah,
somebody's shit.
yeah. Beating them ain't gonna solve shit. Verbally abusing them not gonna solve anything. It's just gonna make things worse. Love and acceptance, man, that goes a long way. Yeah, and of course, seek professional help if you need to. I think
Who,
that's
who can we
the
look for?
most important thing. Sexologists.
Not sex therapist.
Yeah, in a way. No lah, sex therapists are more for like couples, who have issues with their sexual habits, relations, and all that. I think sexology or sexologists are the ones that deal with, people having issues with sexuality, gender, dysphoria, yeah,
General
or
confusion.
yeah, anything lah related to it, even sexual deviancy and all that. So yeah, get the help you need if you need it.
Yeah, I think that's all the time we have today.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. We will see you in our next podcast.
Yes. Bye.
Bye bye.
Poka! Doing it in reverse.